Okay, so Kathy Richards, registered dietitian, your doctor has told you that you need to lose weight. And what does that actually mean? What do you need to do? So that's what I'm going to walk you through in this quick little video today is how I would start if that's been the recommendation that they've given you. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm screen sharing um, my screen. Perfect. So energized eating. So I did this presentation a while ago, but really I didn't change it to weight loss eating because how we eat to have energy, how we eat to feel our best, how we eat to regulate energy, blood sugar regulates weight quite often. And often if people follow this simple way of eating, will know that they're getting their nutrient needs met, but they're also meeting their micronutrient needs. They have energy, they feel good. And as a result, they'll often lose weight. And it's actually often surprising to people that the more they eat, the more balance we have, we add fat, and all these things work together to help us manage our weight, cravings, etc. So, energized eating or eating in a way to lose weight because your healthcare provider has told you you've got to lose weight. This is where I would start. Okay, so we're going to go over super quick today meal timing. So, how often we should eat. Okay, and we're not going to get too much into the time restricted eating that a lot of people will dabble in or experience. I'll talk to it a little bit. Meal balance, that's going to be the key thing. How do we build a balanced meal that keeps us full and keeps our energy going through the day? We'll look at a couple of other factors. And then we'll talk about some energized snacks because snacks come in to that meal timing throughout the day. So, meal timing, what should that look like? Once we start eating, so this is where if you're doing time restricted eating or intermittent fasting, I don't really care so much if you're doing that. If you're a man, go at it. If you're a female, it's not going to be as beneficial. It's not always going to be as easy for the female body. Men just have testosterone, not much to, you know, play with there. So they tend to do good with a shorter eating window. But once we start eating, ideally, I want my clients to eat every 3 to 4 hours. And it's because we want to keep that energy consistent throughout the day. So if we're skipping meals, if we're not eating often, and then we're going to crave things that give us quick energy. So bagels, donuts, muffins, those kind of typical breakfast things that we might grab at. They would do that big spike in energy and then they're not going to stay long. So then we have to eat something that gives us that burst of carbohydrate that we're craving. And we kind of fall into this energy roller coaster throughout the day. The thing to think about when we look at weight management, and the Glucose Goddess on Instagram does a great way of, showing us visuals around this. It's not new what she's sharing. I've been teaching this since, 2002, but she just presents it in a very nice way. But basically, every time that blood sugar spikes, so blood sugar is that energy piece. So every time that line gets to the top, that red line, our body has to release some insulin, which is a fat storing hormone, to get that sugar out of the blood. And it's going to help us hang on to weight if we're eating in that way. It's going to be increasing that insulin response. So what we want to do is get to a place where we're balancing our food, but we're also eating often enough to keep that energy, keep that blood sugar more steady, and we'll feel better throughout the day. Okay, so we want to have a balance of protein, fat, carbohydrate at each meal and maybe at snacks to get us through the day. So how often should you eat? Again, every 3 hours. But we want to think about that macronutrient balance, protein, fat, carbohydrate. So there's a few different people that have, different trademark systems that they use. Some will call it PFC balance. Some people call it protein, fat, and fiber rich balance. There's lots of different ways to say it, but basically we want to get those main things at each meal. And fat is one of the things that a lot of people kind of shy away from. But in my clients that have had the most success in actually just starting to follow this protocol and lose weight, they've incorporated the fat piece. So we don't need to go low fat. We did that, right? We did that in the 90s and nobody got to, nobody lost weight and stayed slim, right? So PFC every 3 is the way I like to think about it. So we want to get some protein at the meal. I would aim for 25 to 30 grams of protein. That's a bit higher than I used to recommend. I would recommend 10 to 15 grams of fat at a meal. So that would be like a tablespoon of olive oil. That might be like a quarter cup of nuts. That might be some olives, but we want to get some healthy fat there. Carbohydrates, I would look for about 25 grams of carbohydrate, but try to make 8 to 10 of those fiber. Okay, because we also want to get lots of fiber because the fiber plays with that glucose curve to make it stay nice as well. Don't worry about this balance. If you want to see what it looks like, I will link below the video my grab and go lunch guide, which follows this method, and it gives you lots of ideas for things to grab and go for lunch for as busy individuals, and you can grab that off of my website. So protein, where are we going to get protein? So if we think about lentils and things, as I've demonstrated on this slide, then those are going to be protein and fiber rich. Okay, so they're going to work nicely for that energy. Other sources of protein, you could do meat, you could do chicken, you could do turkey, you could do Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, eggs, protein powder. Sometimes I find that's an easy way to bump up protein. Some vegetables give protein, but they wouldn't give that 30 grams for a portion of broccoli, but those things will add up over time. General rule of thumb, portion of protein, palm of your hand, thickness of your baby finger, maybe a little bit bigger than that. Or I usually say like size of a cell phone. So we keep it easy, but we want to make sure there's a good quality source of protein at that meal. And then we want to look at some source of fat. Okay, so fat could be extra virgin olive oil. If you look at the Mediterranean diet, and I'll link a training I did on that below as well. If you look at that approach, which is recognized as the gold standard for how to eat to be healthy, it recommends 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil per day, not heated. So that's, for a lot of us, that would seem like a lot of um, calories coming in, but it's healthy fat and we need that fat. So a low fat diet is 50 grams of fat or less. That's really low fat. I'm looking for 10 to 15 grams at a meal. Ideally, we're eating 3 meals a day. So that would be 45, and then maybe 5 to 10 at a snack. So that gives us around 60 to 70 grams of healthy fat in a day. Nuts and seeds, chia seeds, hemp hearts, walnuts, almonds are shown here. There are lots of ways to get healthy fat, but we shouldn't be afraid to have fat. Fat has a good role. They're fat soluble vitamins, keeps our energy more consistent, and helps with that blood sugar and energy response. Carbohydrates, oops, sorry. I'm gonna have to redo it. So bear with me. Oh my gosh. Carbohydrates, we want to think bread, right? And if we are overtired, overstressed, not getting enough rest, okay, we are going to crave carbohydrates because they're simple and they're quick energy. And when our body needs energy, it knows, give me carbohydrates. First thing the brain wants to run on, first thing the muscles want to run on. So that's why we crave carbohydrates. If you're craving a lot of carbohydrates late in the day, okay, look back. Did you eat some in throughout the day consistently? Because that can help with those cravings. Are you sleeping well? Are you hydrated? Are you stressed? Like there's so many factors. It's not just food that results in weight loss or exercise, right? It's all of these other things. We have to look at the person as a whole. But carbohydrates come in. If you want to think about rice or if you want to think about pasta, portion size, I would usually say would be 1 to 2 fists, depending on the individual and their activity. We can always add fiber like ground flaxseed to help with how that blood sugar curve is. If you look at the glucose goddess stuff, she talks about having a tablespoon of olive oil or vinegar about 30 minutes before that pasta meal. That reduces that response as well. So don't be afraid of carbohydrates, but it's how we're fitting them in that can help with our energy and with that weight as well. So if you're looking to get better energy while you're looking to shift your weight, I do have a resource around that. But for today's purposes, I just wanted to touch on that balanced eating as the best approach to start with. If you're eating breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, snack, I guarantee you're going to feel like you're eating all the time, but you'll lose weight. Okay, so try it out and see. Grab my grab and go lunch guide. I have other resources you can take a look at, but it's about balancing the snacks, balancing the meals to keep us full and help our body keep working with us. So energized snacks, this was from a presentation I did in 2019, I think. And I was talking about combining fruit with protein source. Okay, so that's what Glucose Goddess has been talking about for the last couple of years. But as you can see, it's not new. It's been something that we've been recommending forever, but she just presents it in a nice little package. So combine foods to get that better energy response. If you want to look for some of my resources, again, I'm going to link some below. You can find me in these places. And I hope that this video was so helpful for you on your journey to manage your weight.